Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever stood in front of your fridge, door wide open, just staring at the shelves and thinking, am I really keeping my food fresh, or am I quietly making things worse without even realizing it? It's funny, isn't it? We've been taught all our lives, put your groceries in the fridge to keep them safe. Keep them cool, keep them fresh, right? That's what we've always done, no questions asked. But here's something they rarely tell you, especially as we get older, the way we store our food can make all the difference between feeling sluggish, tired, drained, or waking up every morning with that spark of energy, that sense of vitality, like your body is still rooting for you. And I know you care about that. Not just for yourself, but maybe for someone you love deeply. Maybe it's your mother, or father, your husband, your wife, or even your dear neighbor down the street who's like family. The truth is, nutrition isn't just about what we eat. It's also about how we treat our food before it even reaches our plates. What's shocking is this: there are everyday foods, and I mean the foods you probably bought just this week, that we're all guilty of tossing into the fridge without a second thought, thinking we're preserving them, when in reality, we're quietly draining their goodness, stripping away the very nutrients that keep us feeling alive and well. And look, I get it. It's not your fault. We've been doing it for years. But here's the good news: you're about to change that. In today's video, we're going to go through 7 common foods you should never refrigerate if you're serious about protecting your health, preserving those vital nutrients, and living with energy well into your 80s, 90s, or even celebrating that beautiful 100th birthday with family gathered all around you. So before we dive in, I'd love for you to join me in this mission for better health. Type "I'm here" down in the comments, because being here means you're choosing to take charge of your well-being today. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button for elder mature moments. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next: life-saving insights, little changes with big impact, and conversations that could add years to your life and your loved ones' lives too. Let's get started. Alright, let's begin with one of the biggest surprises on this list. Tomatoes. Picture this for a moment. You've just come back from the market or the grocery store, carrying that little paper bag of bright, red, sun-kissed tomatoes. They feel firm, fresh, full of life. Without even thinking twice, you slide them into the fridge next to the milk and butter, feeling good about keeping them safe and fresh. Seems like the right thing to do, doesn't it? After all, we've been told for years to refrigerate our produce to extend its life. But here's the twist. When it comes to tomatoes, that well-meaning habit is quietly working against you. You see, tomatoes are a delicate fruit, far more delicate than most of us realize. Inside every tomato, there's a web of tiny membranes holding flavor, texture, and powerful nutrients. The moment you expose them to cold temperatures, those fragile membranes begin to break down. What happens next? Instead of that beautiful, firm bite, you end up with a tomato that feels soggy, rubbery, almost lifeless. The flavor? Faded. Flat. Disappointing. But it's not just about taste. No, there's something even more important here. Tomatoes, when left to ripen naturally at room temperature, continue to develop something called lycopene, one of the most powerful antioxidants nature has given us. Lycopene fights inflammation, protects your heart, and even helps guard against certain types of cancer. But cold temperatures stop that process dead in its tracks. So when you refrigerate your tomatoes, you're not just dulling their flavor, you're cutting short their natural journey of ripening, and with it, the full health benefits they were meant to deliver. Now, here's where it gets even trickier. Most people think they're playing it safe by refrigerating tomatoes. Maybe you've done this yourself. We assume it keeps them from spoiling, right? We believe we're making the smart choice. But here's the truth: when you take refrigerated tomatoes out later to use them, they're already weakened. Their internal structure has started to collapse, and they spoil faster than if you just left them out on the counter in the first place. It's a common mistake, and one I see far too often. But don't worry, Changing this is simple and it makes a world of difference. From now on, give your tomatoes the environment they deserve. Keep them at room temperature, somewhere with good air flow. A bowl on the kitchen counter, away from direct sunlight, is perfect. Let them breathe, let them ripen naturally, and you'll be rewarded with vibrant flavor and powerful nutrients that truly support your health. And if they start to soften just a little bit? That's not a sign of spoilage, it's actually a sign they're reaching peak ripeness, full of lycopene and flavor. That's the moment to enjoy them. And trust me, when you bite into a naturally ripened tomato, you'll taste the difference immediately. It's like sunshine in every bite. Now, if you thought tomatoes were surprising, wait until you hear about the next food. In fact, it's one you probably bring home in bulk, thinking you're doing the smart thing by keeping it cool. But as it turns out, storing it in the fridge might be setting you up for an even bigger mistake. Let's talk about potatoes. Ah, potatoes. Let's talk about them. Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine your grandmother's old wooden kitchen basket, tucked away in a cool, dark corner of her home. You remember that, don't you? It was always there. Filled with earthy, dusty potatoes, resting quietly, waiting to be turned into something warm and comforting. She never rushed them into the fridge, and as it turns out, she knew exactly what she was doing, even if she never read a single scientific article about it. Here's the thing, potatoes are natural survivors. They've been feeding families for centuries, especially in their raw, unbothered state. But when we slip them into the refrigerator, thinking we're giving them a safe, extended life, we're actually forcing them into an unnatural state, one that doesn't do our health any favors. Let me explain why. Potatoes are loaded with natural starches, and those starches are perfectly balanced at room temperature. But inside the fridge, the cold environment triggers a chemical reaction. The starches begin to convert into sugars much faster than they should. Now, at first glance, that might not seem like a big deal. Sugar from a potato, so what? But here's where it becomes a hidden danger. Once you take those refrigerated potatoes and cook them, especially at high temperatures, those sugars combine with amino acids and form something called acrylamide. Acrylamide is not your friend. It's a compound that, in high amounts, has been linked to nerve damage and even increased cancer risk. And let's be honest, we don't need any more health risks sneaking into our meals, especially when we thought we were making a safe choice. And then there's the matter of taste. Potatoes pulled straight from the fridge often taste oddly sweet, which might sound appealing at first, but it throws off the natural balance of flavors. Your mashed potatoes? Suddenly strange. Your roasted wedges? Not quite right. The common misunderstanding is this: many of us believe that refrigerating potatoes helps prevent them from sprouting too soon. It feels like a reasonable assumption. After all, cool temperatures slow things down, don't they? But actually, what your potatoes truly crave is not freezing cold, it's simply a cool, dark, and slightly humid environment. Just cool enough to stay fresh, just dark enough to avoid sprouting, and just dry enough to prevent rot. This is why Grandma's kitchen basket worked so well. So here's your simple, no-nonsense solution. Skip the fridge entirely. Place your potatoes in a paper bag. Yes, a humble paper bag works wonders because it allows them to breathe while protecting them from too much light. Store them in a pantry, cupboard, or any cool, dark spot in your kitchen. Not too warm, not too cold. And here's a little bonus tip: if you see a few small sprouts, don't panic. Just cut them away before cooking. What you want to avoid is potatoes that have turned green or feel soft and shriveled. That's a sign they've passed their prime. By storing your potatoes properly, you're preserving their natural goodness, keeping dangerous compounds at bay, and holding on to that hearty, wholesome flavor that turns every meal into comfort food. Now, if you're surprised about potatoes, and I know many people are, wait until you hear about our next food. This is something you probably have in your kitchen right this very moment. Maybe it's sitting there in the crisper drawer of your fridge, and you thought you were doing it a favor. But here's the truth: by refrigerating it, you're unintentionally setting it up for early spoilage and stripping away its natural strength. Let's move on and talk about onions. Now, let's move on to something that's almost a kitchen essential in every home. Onions. Think about this. Maybe just a few days ago, you were preparing dinner. You chopped an onion in half, used what you needed for the meal, and without thinking twice, you wrapped the leftover half and tucked it neatly into the fridge. It feels like the right move, doesn't it? Safe, practical. After all, the fridge is supposed to keep things fresh, or at least buy us a little more time before things go bad. But here's the truth: when it comes to onions, refrigeration is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Let me explain why. Onions are a lot like potatoes and tomatoes in one important way: they don't like the cold. When you place whole onions into the refrigerator, the environment inside that fridge, especially the moisture-heavy air, starts to work against them almost immediately. You see, onions have natural layers designed to protect them in a dry, cool, but well-ventilated environment. They're like their own little fortress of freshness. But when you chill them, the outer layers begin to absorb moisture from the cold, humid air inside your fridge. Before you know it, that crisp, firm onion begins to soften. Worse, the trapped moisture invites mold and speeds up decay. Instead of staying firm and flavorful, your onion becomes mushy, soggy, and even worse, it starts to rot from the inside out. And if you've already sliced your onion, the problems multiply. Many people assume that once an onion is cut, it's safer in the fridge. And I understand that thinking. It feels like common sense. But here's the problem: sliced onions release juices and natural sulfur compounds, which, when exposed to refrigerator moisture, become a breeding ground for bacteria and unpleasant odors. You might have even noticed it yourself. Open the fridge after storing a cut onion, and suddenly, everything smells faintly of onion. That's not just an inconvenience. It's a sign that your onion is deteriorating faster than you'd like. So, what's the better way? Here's the simple solution that'll keep your onions fresher for longer, and safer to eat. For whole onions, skip the fridge entirely. Store them in a breathable mesh bag, or a basket, in a cool, dry, and dark place. The kitchen pantry is perfect, as long as it's not too warm. The key is ventilation. Let the onions breathe. Let the natural air flow around them. For sliced onions, it's a little different. Since you've already exposed the inner layers, you do need to store them properly. Place the cut onion in an airtight container, seal it tightly, and use it within a day or two. Don't leave it lingering for a week, hoping it'll stay good. Freshness fades quickly once you've broken the natural seal. And here's a small but important tip: keep onions away from potatoes. When stored together, they release gases that can cause both to spoil faster. So give them their own space to thrive. By following these small steps, you preserve the flavor, the texture, and, most importantly, you avoid exposing yourself or your loved ones to unnecessary spoilage and potential health risks. And remember, it's small changes like this that build up over time, especially as we age. Every better choice you make in your kitchen becomes another step toward protecting your health and extending vitality well into your golden years. Now, we've covered tomatoes. We've covered potatoes. And we've just uncovered the truth about onions. But there's a little something sweeter waiting for us next. In fact, it's likely sitting right there in your pantry or maybe even chilling in your fridge this very moment, and you've been thinking it's perfectly fine. But by refrigerating this sweet treat, you're not only losing out on its natural goodness, you're also risking its flavor and its amazing health benefits. Let's talk about honey. Now, let's talk about something truly golden. Honey. If there's one thing our grandparents always got right, it's this timeless wisdom: honey never spoils. And you know what? They were absolutely right. There's something almost magical about honey. It's been treasured for thousands of years. Not just as a sweet treat, but as a healer, a natural medicine, a symbol of health and abundance. Ancient civilizations used honey to treat wounds, soothe sore throats, and even preserve food long before refrigeration was even a dream. So here's the question: why do so many of us, even today, instinctively place honey into the fridge the moment we open the jar? Maybe it feels like a safe bet. After all, we refrigerate other liquids to keep them fresh, why not honey? But here's the fascinating truth. Honey is naturally antibacterial. Its high sugar content and low moisture level create an environment where bacteria and mold simply cannot survive. It's one of nature's rare self-preserving foods. Left alone in a sealed jar, honey can stay safe and edible for not just months or years, but even decades. Archaeologists have discovered pots of honey buried in ancient tombs, still perfectly preserved after thousands of years. Imagine that. Honey outlasting generations. But the moment we place that golden nectar into the refrigerator, we interrupt this natural preservation. Cold temperatures trigger a process called crystallization. You've probably seen it before. Your smooth, pourable honey turns thick, cloudy, and grainy. At first, it might just be a few crystals at the bottom. But soon, the entire jar stiffens, making it difficult to scoop or spread. Now, crystallization doesn't necessarily make honey unsafe to eat, but it does make it inconvenient, and many people mistake crystallized honey for honey that has gone bad and end up throwing it away. What a waste of such precious goodness. More importantly, constant temperature fluctuations, like taking honey in and out of the fridge, can slowly degrade some of its most valuable enzymes. Enzymes that support your immune system, aid digestion, and help fight off harmful microbes. So, how should you care for your honey? Keep it simple. Store your honey sealed tightly in a glass jar or its original container, and place it in a cool, dry spot in your pantry. No need for fancy tricks or special storage. Room temperature is just right. And here's a helpful tip: if your honey does begin to crystallize at room temperature over time, don't worry. Just place the jar in a warm water bath, gently stir it, and you'll see it return to its smooth, flowing state. No nutrients lost, no flavor compromised. When you care for honey the right way, it stays liquid gold, smooth, spreadable, and rich with all its health-boosting properties intact. Now, think about this for a moment. Honey is often enjoyed drizzled over something equally comforting. Maybe you've done this yourself: warm bread, lightly toasted, with a spoonful of honey melting across the surface. It's a simple pleasure, isn't it? But here's the twist. If you're refrigerating that bread, thinking you're keeping it fresher for longer, you might be setting yourself up for disappointment. In fact, you could be making the very thing you love go stale even faster. Let's move on and talk about bread. Ah, bread. Let's be honest, who among us hasn't, at some point, slid a loaf of bread into the fridge, thinking we were doing the smart thing? Maybe you bought a beautiful, fresh loaf from the bakery, or even just your regular sliced bread from the supermarket, and right after getting home, you tucked it away in the fridge to keep mold at bay. It feels safe, doesn't it? Practical. Logical. But here's the surprising truth: refrigerating your bread is not saving it. In fact, it's quietly stealing away its softness and flavor far faster than you might expect. Let me explain what's really happening inside that innocent-looking fridge. Bread is made up of complex carbohydrates, mostly starches, that give it that lovely, tender texture we all enjoy. When bread is stored at room temperature, those starch molecules stay relaxed and spread out, keeping the bread soft and springy. But the moment you place bread in the cold, chilly environment of your refrigerator, those starch molecules begin to change. They start to recrystallize, a process that speeds up dramatically in cold conditions. This recrystallization is what we experience as staleness. What was once soft and fluffy becomes hard, dry, and crumbly. The loaf you were trying to protect ends up losing its inviting texture and delightful flavor far sooner than if you'd simply left it out at room temperature. And I get it. Many people, maybe even you, have been led to believe that colder automatically means fresher. It's a natural assumption. But with bread, it just doesn't work that way. The refrigerator might slow down mold growth slightly, but it speeds up the staling process so much that the trade-off simply isn't worth it. And here's another little-known fact. Bread kept at room temperature usually gets eaten before mold even has the chance to set in, especially if it's good bread. So what's the better way to care for your bread? It's simpler than you think. Store your bread in a cool, dry place, ideally in a bread box or a cloth bag. These provide just the right balance of air circulation and protection from excess moisture. Bread boxes are a time-tested solution, and for good reason. They create a stable environment that keeps your loaf fresher, longer. Now, if you've bought more bread than you can eat in a few days, that's when the freezer becomes your friend. Freezing bread halts the staling process entirely, preserving its texture and flavor. Just make sure you slice the bread before freezing, so you can easily take out only what you need. When you're ready to enjoy it, a quick toast or a gentle warm-up in the oven will bring your bread right back to life. Simple steps, but meaningful results. And when you think about it, it's the little things like this that make everyday life feel just a bit richer, isn't it? The simple pleasure of a warm slice of bread, maybe with a little butter melting across the top, or perhaps, a drizzle of that smooth, golden honey we just talked about. But we're not done yet. If you thought bread was surprising, just wait until you hear about the next food on our list. It's something many of us enjoy every morning, or pack into our lunches, thinking it's perfectly fine to chill for freshness. But putting this fruit in the fridge is like freezing its natural ripening magic, cutting short its flavor and, more importantly, its health benefits. Let's talk about bananas. Now, let's peel back the truth about bananas. You've probably seen this happen many times. You bring home a bunch of bright, cheerful yellow bananas, you slip them into the fridge, hoping to stretch their life a little longer, and then, almost overnight, the skins start turning dark and blotchy, like they've aged a decade in just a day. It's frustrating, isn't it? But there's a very good reason for that. Bananas are tropical fruits. They thrive in warmth, they mature in gentle temperatures, and they ripen best at room temperature where their natural sugars and flavors can fully develop. When you place bananas in the refrigerator, the cold essentially shocks the fruit. It halts the ripening process abruptly, almost freezing it in time, but not in a way that preserves freshness. Instead, the cold damages the peel itself, causing those dark spots and streaks to appear. Now, here's something a lot of people don't realize. While the peel is darkening and looking unappealing, the inside of the banana remains underdeveloped. The sugars haven't fully ripened, the enzymes haven't finished their natural work, and the fruit lacks the sweetness and creaminess we love. Some people think they're doing the right thing by chilling bananas early, believing it will preserve them for longer. It's a natural thought. We often associate refrigeration with preservation. But with bananas, it doesn't work that way. Bananas are alive, in a way. Even after they've been picked, they continue their ripening journey. The enzymes inside them are still at work, converting starches into sugars, building that rich flavor and creamy texture we expect. When we put them into the fridge too early, those enzymes slow down dramatically, almost to a stop, and the ripening process is interrupted. You end up with bananas that look old on the outside but feel stiff and slightly chalky on the inside, not the delightful, naturally sweet fruit we were hoping for. So what should you do instead? The answer is surprisingly simple. Let your bananas ripen at room temperature, right on your kitchen counter. Watch as they gradually turn from pale yellow to a richer, deeper yellow with just a hint of brown speckles. That's the sweet spot, the moment when they're at their peak of flavor and nutritional value. And here's a helpful tip. Once your bananas reach perfect ripeness and you're not ready to eat them all, you can pop them into the fridge to slow down any further ripening. Yes, the peel will darken, that's normal, but the inside will stay delicious and ready to enjoy for a few more days. Also, if your bananas start to go a little too ripe, don't rush to throw them away. Overripe bananas are fantastic for smoothies, baking, or even freezing for later use. In fact, some of the healthiest banana recipes start with those spotty, sweet bananas you were about to give up on. Every stage of the banana's life has its place in our kitchen and our health journey. And think about this for a moment. For those of us paying close attention to our health as we age, or for the health of our beloved parents, grandparents, or even ourselves, getting the best nutrition from something as simple as a banana can make a real difference. Bananas offer potassium for heart health, natural sugars for gentle energy boosts, and fiber to support digestion. But only when we let nature take its course and allow them to ripen properly. So next time you bring home a bunch of bananas, let them sit out in the open, let them breathe, and let them sweeten at their own pace. Your body will thank you for it. Now, as surprising as that might be, we're not finished yet. We've covered fruits, vegetables, even bread and honey, but there's one more food we absolutely need to talk about before we wrap up today. It's something many people consider a kitchen treasure, and rightfully so. Rich in healthy fats, powerful antioxidants, and well known for its benefits to heart health and longevity. Yet, most people unknowingly sabotage this precious oil with cold storage, thinking they're keeping it fresh, while in reality, they're robbing it of its natural goodness. Let's turn our attention to olive oil. Now, let's turn to something that many of us hold dear in our kitchens. Olive oil. Maybe you've noticed this before. You pull your olive oil out of the fridge, expecting that golden, silky flow, but instead, you're met with a cloudy, thick liquid, or worse, clumps of solidified oil sticking to the sides of the bottle. It feels strange, almost like something has gone wrong. And in a way, it has. You see, olive oil is a gift from nature, rich in heart-loving monounsaturated fats and brimming with antioxidants that help fight inflammation, protect your blood vessels, and support healthy aging. It's been a staple of Mediterranean diets for centuries, and not by accident. But here's the truth many don't realize: olive oil is not meant for cold storage. Refrigeration, despite good intentions, actually works against this precious oil. Let me explain why. When you place olive oil in the fridge, the cold temperature causes the fats in the oil to solidify. That's why you see those cloudy swirls and clumps. But it's not just about appearance or texture. The cold environment inside your refrigerator can also lead to condensation inside the bottle, and that's where the real trouble begins. Tiny droplets of moisture inside the bottle create an environment ripe for oxidation. This means the very antioxidants that make olive oil such a health powerhouse begin to degrade, losing their potency day by day. What's more, chilled olive oil thickens, making it difficult to pour and nearly impossible to drizzle lightly over a fresh salad or warm vegetables. And let's not forget, flavor matters too. Refrigeration dulls the vibrant, peppery notes of a good olive oil, robbing you of that full, rich taste that makes your meals both delicious and nourishing. Yet, I understand the confusion. Many people assume that cooler storage is always better for oils, especially after hearing how quickly some vegetable oils can turn rancid. But olive oil, in particular, prefers a very different kind of care. Olive oil thrives best at room temperature, but not just anywhere in your kitchen. What it really craves is a dark, stable environment away from heat and light. So here's how to do it right. Keep your olive oil in a dark glass bottle, or better yet, store it inside a cupboard or pantry, away from the stove, away from windows, away from direct sunlight. This simple habit protects the oil from both light and temperature fluctuations, helping to preserve its flavor, texture, and those vital antioxidants your body benefits from every single time you use it. And a little extra tip: if you buy olive oil in large quantities, consider transferring a portion into a smaller bottle for daily use. That way, you limit the exposure to air each time you pour, keeping the larger reserve sealed tightly and fresher for longer. Caring for your olive oil in this way isn't just about keeping it tasty, it's about honoring the health benefits it offers. Every drizzle over your salad, every splash in your pan, becomes a step toward better heart health, better brain function, and better aging overall. So, next time you reach for that bottle of olive oil, remember, the fridge is not its friend. Treat it well, and it will return the favor in every meal you prepare. Now that you know these 7 everyday foods, and trust me, they're more common than most people realize, it's time to think about the bigger picture. Because these aren't just random kitchen tips. No, they are small but powerful changes, steps that protect not only the quality of your food but the quality of your life. Let's take a moment to talk about why these simple choices matter so deeply, and how they can genuinely help you, or someone you love, move closer to a life of energy, vitality, and the joyful possibility of reaching that beautiful milestone of 100 years and beyond. I know it can feel like a lot, all at once. When we talk about rethinking our everyday habits, especially ones we've carried with us for years, even decades, it can feel overwhelming. Almost unsettling. After all, these are things we've done without question. Storing our bread in the fridge, chilling our bananas the moment we bring them home, keeping that golden olive oil on the cold shelf because it just seemed like the right thing to do. It's natural to trust these routines. They feel safe. Familiar. Like little acts of care in a busy world. But here's the gentle truth, sometimes, even our safest choices come with hidden risks, risks we don't see until much later. And I want you to hear me clearly, because this is important. This conversation we're having today, it's not about fear. It's not about pointing fingers or feeling guilt over what we didn't know. No. This is about empowerment. It's about you, right now, holding the power in your own hands to make simple, thoughtful changes that protect not just the food in your kitchen, but the well-being of the people you love most. Your spouse. Your aging parents. Your children. Yourself. With just a few easy adjustments, you're not only preserving the natural life inside your food. You're extending the quality of life inside your body. You're helping your heart beat a little stronger. You're giving your immune system that extra edge to fight. You're supporting energy levels that let you enjoy your days with greater ease, whether it's taking a morning walk, cooking a family meal, or simply waking up feeling just a little more alive. So here's my gentle challenge to you, my friend. Tonight, before you settle in for the evening, take just a moment to open your refrigerator door. Stand there, take a slow breath, and look at what's inside. Remove just one of these 7 foods. Start small. One simple step. And in that small, intentional action, you've already begun a positive change. A step toward not just better food, but better health. These are the kinds of steps that build momentum. Before you know it, they become habits, natural, easy, part of your daily rhythm. And each one adds up to something truly meaningful over time. Remember this. Aging gracefully isn't about grand gestures. It's about the little things. The quiet choices made in the privacy of our homes. The subtle adjustments that no one else may even notice, but that make all the difference for our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. With love, patience, and the knowledge you've gathered today, you're already well on your way. And who knows? Maybe one day, you'll be the one celebrating that beautiful milestone birthday, your 90th, your 95th, maybe even your 100th, with family gathered around, sharing stories and smiles, and raising a glass to a life well lived. Because you chose, today, to care just a little bit more. And that, my friend, is a gift worth giving yourself. So, let's take a moment to gently recap everything we've discovered together today. 7 everyday foods. Foods we've trusted, foods we've stored with care, but perhaps not always in the way nature intended. First, the humble tomato. Keep it at room temperature, let it breathe, and it will reward you with rich flavor and powerful antioxidants that protect your heart. Next, our potatoes. Store them cool, dark, and dry, just like our wise grandparents did, and you'll avoid harmful compounds and preserve their natural goodness. Then, the mighty onion. Skip the fridge, let it stay dry and airy, and enjoy its full flavor and shelf life without the sogginess and spoilage. Honey, nature's sweetest treasure. Leave it in your pantry, and it will stay smooth, delicious, and packed with health-boosting enzymes for months, even years. Bread, oh yes. Keep it out of the fridge to enjoy its soft, comforting texture. Only freeze it if you truly need to keep it longer. Our tropical friend, the banana, let it ripen naturally on your counter, and you'll get all the sweetness and potassium your body deserves. And finally, olive oil, the golden elixir. Tuck it away in a dark cupboard, safe from light and cold, and you'll preserve every drop of its heart-loving power. These small, thoughtful changes, my friend, are not just about preserving food. They're about preserving you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these foods surprised you the most today? Was it the bread? The bananas? Maybe the honey? Share your thoughts with me in the comments below. I truly do read them, and your experiences might just help someone else in our community who's walking the same journey toward better health. And if you found these tips helpful, even in the smallest way, would you do me a small favor? Please give this video a like. It's a simple click, but it tells me you value these conversations, and it helps us spread this knowledge to more people who need it. And of course, if you haven't already, I warmly invite you to subscribe to Elder Mature Moments. Here, we believe that aging is not a decline, it's an opportunity. An opportunity to grow wiser, to live more fully, and to care for our bodies with gentleness and love. Every week, we share practical advice, little habits that build a foundation for graceful, vibrant living, and comforting conversations just like this one. So, join us. Let's walk this path together. And finally, from my heart to yours, thank you for spending this precious time with me today. It means more than you know. Stay strong, stay informed, and above all, stay hopeful. I'll see you in the next video.